grind till the day's done.
What's up, guys? Musical Mind Frame with A1 Music Productions bringing you another FL Studio 12 tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to change your kick sound or add a little bit more punch to it, and I'm going to show you a method I did. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but I have a layered kick sample here with 3 different samples. But as you can see, that top one has a lot of sustain to it, and you can take that out if you're using FPC with this envelope controller over here to the right, but I'm going to show you how to do it with compression. So let's see what this sounds like. So this is with no effects or processing on it. With processing. Okay, so let's see what I did. I'll take everything off and go down the chain. I started with a clipper plugin. It's T-Rax soft clipper, and it's pretty much just using saturation as compression, adding a tiny bit of distortion to it, tiny bit of compression. You can see that it's really not having that much gain reduction. And you want to be careful to use proper gain staging. So the original sample was peaking at around 6 decibels, so I'm going to try and keep any processing I do at 6 decibels. This is also going to help you hear the true changes in the sound, because your ears can be fooled, and it usually thinks that when something sounds louder, it sounds better. So if you're checking it at the same volume, you can make sure that the changes you made actually made it sound better. Next, I used another saturation plugin to just kind of bring back some of the high frequencies that kind of got taken out in the clipper and that just weren't really present in it to begin with. This is a free plugin. It's IVGI. And I had a little extra dB from the clipper, but I'm going to pull that out and make sure it's at 6 dB with the other saturation plugin. Some plugins just work better with a certain signal level, So you want to make sure that you're putting the optimal signal level into the plugin that it's intended to use, especially analog emulated plugins. It tends to have a certain dB that it's going to work best at or work like it's intended. So you also want to gain stage for that. You might have to up the gain to get the best out of the plugin, but then you want to adjust that on the post gain. All right, next I used a pool tech style EQ. These can be very good for adding low end to your kick drum. These can be very good for working on kick drums in general. And what I did was I boosted at 100 and also attenuated, and the pool tech style is it's going to cause the frequencies to dip a little bit right after that low boost. And I boosted the highs around 4K, I believe, to add some of that beater click in there to make sure that's nice and present. Next, I used a limiter, and the sample had a lot of sustain and a lot of rumble in the end, and I didn't want that. I wanted something punchier, so I'm putting a really long attack. I think it's around 200, and a pretty long release. I think it's at about 500 or so milliseconds to let all that first little hit through pretty much the main part of the kick, but then I want to compress that rumble that's coming afterward to tighten up the kick and make it a little bit punchier and also create more room for other things in the mix. And you can see on a pretty limiter how it's letting that first little bit through, but then it's compressing after that first peak comes through, that first main peak, first main thump of the kick. And then I haven't really finished this up, but I added some EQ to cut out things I didn't like and boost things that got compressed and just get the sound a little bit more polished. And the person I was working on this for, they wanted kind of a dirty sound, so I kept that in there a little bit. I normally like really clean, deep sounding kicks, but I left this one sounding a little bit punchy and dirty because that's what they wanted. I took a little bit of the ultra low out to tighten it up a bit, boosted around 50, which I like to do on kicks a lot, kind of put that chest hit in there. Took out some mud and boosted the high end for the beater click a little bit more. So let's compare. This is without. processing. Without. With. And I also created a reverb send and put a long delay on the reverb to create kind of this extra breathy rhythmic element. And then I used Fruity Limiter because it was a slapback preset and it was causing this click delay, and I wanted to take that little extra click out. So I used a fast attack, fast release, and took that little peak out of there. So just this in part of it, just this little breathing part was left. Alright guys, hope that was helpful. And once again, this is just one way that I did it. There's lots of different ways to do it, but maybe you can take some of these principles and use them. As always, subscribe to the channel, A1 Music Productions, and have a nice day. Peace.